This is the soundtrack of the millions undiagnosed with moderate to severe obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA, in adults with obesity. It's a chronic condition where the airway partially or fully collapses during sleep, which may cause breathing interruptions and oxygen deprivation without your knowing. Don't sleep on the symptoms. Talk to your doctor about OSA and learn more at don'tsleeponosa.com. This information is provided by Lilly USA, LLC.
Ah, DSW, birthplace of the humble brag. Here, the shoes are so good, no one would ever know how little you paid. If you didn't go telling everyone, that is. And with never-ending options for every style, mood, and occasion, all at really great prices, we'll definitely give you something to brag about. So go ahead, stock up on fresh sneakers from your favorite brands. Or try those boots you always secretly knew you could pull off. Find the shoes that get you at prices that get your budget at DSW stores or DSW.com.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
A warmer friendly hello. Welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. We've got an excellent podcast for you as we're going to be joined in segment number 2 by one of our good buddies, William Boor, does such great work over at Action Network. We're going to be taking a look at both of these series between the Blue Jays and the Mariners and also the Brewers versus the Cubs. We've got some murky pitching situations going on Monday with the Mariners, what they're going to be able to do after that Game 1 and all the arms that they expended in Game 5 against the Detroit Tigers. The Brewers, it appears as though they're going to be going with an opener and either Jose Quintana or Quinn Priester, so that always makes things a little bit murky, but certainly the Dodgers are the favorite there, so we're going to be talking about that team and their dominance, the way the Dodgers have been able to revamp their bullpen, and what to expect moving forward from these championship series and perhaps a World Series clash as well. And then in the final segment, going to get you guys picks and analysis for both games on the betting board for this Baseball Monday as we touch them all. If you do have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of two ways we offer those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, Larzium, they mean does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. Other ways, find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated. And then from there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. Did not get in any Twitter/X questions today, but everything is powered by EdgeBoost. EdgeBoost is making sure that bettors are able to have access to their funds whenever and wherever you get cashback rewards as you utilize EdgeBoost. And when you go to EdgeBoost.bet, make sure you utilize that promo code of Greg, G-R-E-G. That gets you a $1 for $1 match on your first deposit up to $25. Now let's take a look back at everything that we saw in baseball with regards to Game 1 of Mariners versus Blue Jays. Try to find some trends and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
What games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about? Here is the rowdy recap.
The Seattle Mariners persevere despite the fact that they were coming off of a pretty quick turnaround after that Game 5 win over the Detroit Tigers, this by a count of 3-1. In the first inning, first pitch of the game, George Springer is able to go deep for a home run, his first of the postseason. That's all that the Blue Jays would get. They only get 2 total hits in this game. Bryce Miller, 6 innings, he allows that solo run in the first inning, settles down from there. Gabe Spire, Matt Brash, Andres Munoz all give you a scoreless inning, and big dumper Cal Raleigh off of Kevin Gausman. He was able to go deep, his second home run of the postseason between the regular season and playoffs. 62 this season. Gausman, relatively solid start. He gives up 2 runs over the course of 5 2/3 innings. From there, Brandon Little, he gives you an out of the bullpen squirrels. Louis Varlin was able to come in for a scoreless inning. Jeff Hoffman, a scoreless inning. Sverry Dominguez does give up a run in a third of an inning, while Mason Flaherty was unable to hold on inherited runners, but he was able to get a pair of outs out of the bullpen as well. But the Seattle Mariners, they do take a 1-0 lead in this series, and if you're looking trend-wise at what we've got in the last 7 days in Major League Baseball in terms of these playoffs, home teams have been pretty rock solid. They are 8-5 on the money line, so a little bit of a rare loss. We had one pick'em game, but favorites are just 6-6 on the money line this time span, and unders are starting to really take hold. We have had 7 of the last 13 postseason games go under the total, so that's what we're seeing in baseball right now. That's what we all got in Game 1 of the Blue Jays and the Seattle Mariners, and we'll talk about that series a little bit more, and we'll talk about the NLCS along with the games for Monday with William Boor. He does great work over at Action Network, and he joins me next right here on the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the VSiN Family Podcast.
Did you know your credit card points and miles can lose value to inflation? Credit card companies often reduce the redemption value of your points and miles. Now, imagine a credit card with rewards that can grow in value. With the Gemini credit card, you can earn Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos instantly with no annual fee. Every swipe at the store or gas pump earns you instant rewards deposited straight to your account. Plus, sign up now for a $200 Bitcoin bonus to kickstart your rewards. Visit Gemini.com/card today. Check out the link in the description for more information on rates and fees. Again, if you're looking to invest in Bitcoin but don't know where to start, the Gemini credit card makes it easy.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball, this is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by this man as we've got William Boor aboard. He does a tremendous job over at Action Network. Take a look at this great game of baseball. I know he does a lot with regards to college football front as well. His insights are always masterful there. He is making sure that you're able to get bets down on anything that is pretty much bettable here in the continental United States, whether that be hot dog eating for the 4th of July. I think that they had odds on the Nobel Peace Prize a few weeks ago as well. That's always some good, clean family fun, and it is clean family fun. Whenever we get them aboard, you're able to follow them on the old Twitter/X at the letter W, last name Boor, Boor, all together. And William, it's great to get you aboard. Thank you.
Of course, Greg. Always happy to hop on and talk baseball and talk betting with you.
And it's always great to be able to get you aboard, William. And William, how do you take a look at these final four teams in the postseason? Because I do think that in both of these series, we've got two very clear favorites in the Blue Jays and the LA Dodgers. Now, we are doing this before we know the final of Game 1 of Mariners versus Blue Jays, so let you in behind the curtain, but would be very surprised if Bryce Miller was able to get the job done for the Mariners, and it feels like the Mariners were trying to build pretty much for Game 2 and beyond with the way that they really got pushed by the Detroit Tigers in that Game 5.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to do what you've got to do to advance, right? You can only plan so far ahead. You've got to play the game in front of you. They did that. They got through Game 5. That's what they had to do. But it really did put them behind the 8 ball for the ALCS. And that's just, it shows what Toronto was able to do in terms of winning their series early and getting yourself in a more favorable position. The last few times I've been on here, like, I'm very high on the Mariners. I really like them as a team. I've got futures on them, but when you're in the position they're in, it's tough. Game 1 just doesn't look good for the spot. Obviously, recording this before it happens. I probably do like the Mariners in Game 2. We'll see, but Game 2 for them, like, you're kind of going to put all eggs in that basket, assuming they do actually drop Game 1.
Yep, exactly. And with regards to Game 2, I was talking to the Seattle Mariners pre- and post-game host Curtis Rogers on this podcast 24 hours ago. He was expecting it to be Luis Castillo. As of right now, it's a little bit TBD as to who the Mariners are going to be throwing, and a lot of it might be dependent upon game number 1. But how would you be looking at things if it is someone like a Luis Castillo or perhaps a Brian Wu? Because I think in either of those circumstances, both guys are going to be a little bit taxed, with Castillo, albeit only 11 pitches, having pitched in that game number 5. And for Brian Wu, he just hasn't thrown in a while, and you don't know what form he's going to be in.
Yeah, it's tricky. You don't know the form, the rest. It's going to be weird. I think you're almost kind of betting on the Mariners' bats more than anything. I almost might look, this is obviously all going to be price dependent, but if you like the Mariners, but you're not sure on the pitching, whatever, maybe you look for like a Mariners team total over as a way to bet the Mariners without having to necessarily bet the money line. If the pitching plan does blow up, you could possibly still win your bet that way. You might want to get creative because you're not sure what they do. And, like, you know, if Wu hasn't pitched in a while, maybe they do start him, but maybe that's like a 3-inning by design start, so you're not really getting a ton of him. It could be interesting, but it might be something where you attack either a series price as a whole, if Seattle's down 1 and you want Seattle, or you might look into some Seattle favorable props as a quasi money line bet.
Yep, and I think that there's going to be a lot of different ways to play it, and right now we are waiting for a little bit of an opener, and obviously we're waiting for that bullpen use for the Seattle Mariners as well, because I was suspecting, and our guy Curtis Rogers, who does pre- and post-game hosting for the Seattle Mariners, was saying they were probably going to rest a lot of their bullpen guys, their main guys in Game 1, and try to take game number 2. So that's something to watch, as well as we do have William Boor, who does such great work over at Action Network, joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show. And then on the flip side, it is going to be Brewers versus Dodgers getting started up on Monday. with the Brewers, it just feels like they don't want to announce starters because they really didn't do much of that in terms of game number 5. They have been very mysterious with this regard. Seems like it should be Quinn Priester, but I mean, we don't know with the Milwaukee Brewers. They could be throwing out there, for all we know, Grant Anderson. So that's always a lot of fun, and you'd have to think that Blake Snell is going to be starting here for the Dodgers. But how do you take a look at both game number 1 and this series? Because, I mean, I'm someone born in the great state of Wisconsin. I have loved this season for the Brewers, but it feels like they're running into, right now, the best team in all baseball.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the Brewers haven't announced their starter, so we'll see who it is, but I guess it matters in terms of price or if you want to take props, but as far as like the actual thing, whoever's starting is going to be...
They're going to be an underdog.
Yeah, exactly. Like Blake Snell and the Dodgers are going to be favored over whoever the Brewers start unless they somehow make some trade that we don't know is legal.
CC Sabathia in 2007 is back, baby.
Exactly. They get him. They also grab Aaron Judge. They do a couple things.
Rolly Fingers in his prime to close out the game.
Exactly. Then we get them at -105. But assuming the rosters are what we know they're going to be, like Snell's going to be favored. And like you said, the Brewers have had a good season. I think getting to the NLCS is good. I think they've defied expectations. But the Dodgers are really good. This lineup is incredible. It's really deep. The thing is, they had some struggles all year in the regular season and maybe underwhelmed a little bit then, but that was injury when they didn't have their full rotation. Like, you know, now you've got Snell throwing well. You got like Glass now in the bullpen, like Yamamoto. Like everyone is now healthy, which means Ohtani's now pitching. He didn't pitch all year. You can really shrink that bullpen. If you can get strong starts out of people, and there's no reason to suspect they won't, this team is really good. They're lining up ace after ace to take the mound. And frankly, even if they don't have a strong start, there's every good likelihood they just put up 7 runs on you anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's been absolutely incredible. And what have you made out of the way that the Dodgers have revamped this bullpen? Because now you've got rookie Sasaki coming in to close out games. They utilize Tyler Glasnow a little bit as well. Emmett Sheehan is a guy that's able to give you some good innings. And I felt like that was really the main weakness of the Dodgers. And now they've got $1 billion bullpen, and that's not so much a weakness aside from Clayton Kershaw continuing to struggle in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an embarrassment of riches. I think when you have that much talent on the roster, it's hard to... Baseball is a long sample size sport. When you have a ton of talent on a roster in maybe a football season, something can go wrong. Players can get hurt. You're kind of looking at what happens with the 49ers right now, losing Fred Warner earlier today. But like over 162 games plus another 20 or so, 25, however many are in the playoffs, depending on your series, like talent's going to win out. Over a large sample size, this kind of talent, it just is what it is. And right now, we're seeing the talent that the Dodgers accumulated all year or all offseason.
Yep, and with the LA Dodgers, it's just absolutely remarkable. And as we were doing this show, it appears as though the Brewers are going to be doing an opener in front of either Quinn Priester or Jose Quintana, which actually might be both with the way that the Brewers operate things as well. And just how do you take a look at the Brewers' overall approach for this series? Because we're talking about the Dodgers being the Death Star. It just feels like the Milwaukee Brewers are just going to try to scrap things together. Maybe they steal a game or two. I don't think that they completely get swept, but I just don't think that this approach that the Brewers are taking is going to be able to hold up for 7 games, with pretty much going with the wholesale approach in every start that isn't made by Freddie Peralta.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like it, but I'm not sure I have a better alternative. I think you have to, when you're outmatched over a series, you have to win in the margins. You have to find something. So if you go with an opener and it puts up 3 zeros or something, and then you can get to Priester, like I just think you've got to try something and you've got to be creative because you are the underdog. I'm with you. I don't think it's sustainable. And if you do win this series, it puts you probably in a really bad spot for the World Series. But you obviously can't worry about the World Series right now. I think you've got to do what you can. And right now, just try and steal game 1. If somehow you can steal game 1, then game 2 is a separate problem. But like, you can't worry about game 2, game 3, game 4 right now. I mean, you've got to worry about it a little bit, obviously. But you're outmatched. You've just got to figure out something.
Yep, exactly. And I want to get your thoughts with regards to the total for this game between Dodgers and Brewers as well. It seems like we're both in lockstep that the Brewers are very much against it, but it's going to be a total of 7.5 for this one. And it's so interesting because he said that the Dodgers have a chance of being able to put up 7 all by themselves. And for Blake Snell, in his last 5 starts across 32 innings, he has given up 3 runs. It's been absolutely remarkable. Just such an interesting total here because the Dodgers can put up 6 all by themselves. I don't know if the Brewers might be able to muster too much in this start, though.
Yeah, this is tricky. I think at 7.5, I might lean over. I think 8 would probably be where I would start going under. I'm with you. The Dodgers could obviously explode and no one will be shocked. Snell's been throwing really well, but also just shutouts are hard. So I think maybe if we get 1 or 2 from the Brewers over the game, we could, 6-2, 5-3, something like that. It's definitely tough, but I have a hard time betting unders in general with the Dodgers lineup. And I think if you can get them under 8, I kind of line the over, but I don't feel great about it.
And for some reason, the only time that the Dodgers were truly playing a whole bunch of unders was when Max Muncy was out of the fold. He has made a big difference for that Dodgers lineup, as William Boor does such a great job over at Action Network is joining me on the Baseball Betting Show. And it feels pretty clear that the Blue Jays and the Dodgers are the pretty rock-solid favorites for both of these series. And with the Dodgers, whether it is the Mariners or the Blue Jays, do you think either of those teams could give them a little bit of difficulty, or do you feel like at this point this might be the Dodgers World Series to lose, for lack of a better term?
I'm not really sure on Toronto's pitching or like Seattle's offense, and I don't see this happening, but maybe if Seattle wins the ALCS quick and can set up its rotation. But given where they're at, I don't necessarily expect the Mariners to win this series in 5. So I think that's probably Seattle's path, is to win the ALCS in 5 and get fully set up for the NL or for the World Series. But I also just don't necessarily think that's a realistic outcome. So if the ALCS is a battle for either team and it, takes 6 or 7 and they're not coming in perfectly lined up, then I just don't know how anyone competes with the Dodgers right now. This Dodgers team is so loaded. I think whoever faces up against them is going to have things set up in such a certain way, and I just don't see the path to that.
Yep, I am right there with you. I think that it's going to be very brutal for whoever is going up against the LA Dodgers, but things are always nice and calm when you're aboard because you do such a great job of being able to take a look at this great game, William. I know that you're hard at work on the baseball front, but also doing a great job with football, basketball coming into our lives relatively soon as well. So let the good people at home know what's all on tap for you and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
Of course, follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at WBoor, WBOOR. And follow me in the Action Network app at @WilliamBoor_, all one word. But don't just follow me. Make sure you follow all of my colleagues as well and check out actionnetwork.com. We've got betting guides, obviously, for every college football and NFL game. Those are the big ones, but we have college basketball coming up soon, NBA at the end of the month. We'll have all the CS and World Series games. As you mentioned at the top, we had Nobel Peace Prize. If you can bet it, we've got you covered.
Absolutely, and I think that they did something for the Popitude in the earlier part of the year as well.
Yes, we did.
You just never know what you're going to be able to get there. It's always a lot of fun, and it's always great to be able to get the insights of William. A big thanks to him for joining me on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. And coming up next, how about if we do get you guys picks and analysis for both games in the baseball playoffs for this Monday as we touch them all.
Ah, DSW, birthplace of the humble brag. Here, the shoes are so good, no one would ever know how little you paid. If you didn't go telling everyone, that is. And with never-ending options for every style, mood, and occasion, all at really great prices. We'll definitely give you something to brag about. So go ahead, stock up on fresh sneakers from your favorite brands. Or try those boots you always secretly knew you could pull off. Find the shoes that get you at prices that get your budget at DSW stores or DSW.com.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by William Boor. He does such great work over at Action Network. Taking a look at this great game that we all know and love of baseball. Every single time he joins me, he lends such great insights, and he did so once again today. So a big thanks to William for joining me in the last segment. Now it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis for the 2 games that we've got on the betting board for this Baseball Monday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board. Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that as per usual, any changes are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at @GUnit_81. Pretty good to be able to go in rotation order when you've only got 2 games. We'll start with that Blue Jays versus Mariners game first, and then from there, we will dive in and we'll have some fun with the Brewers versus the Dodgers. And we got a lot of TBD starters on the board, so that makes things a little bit more interesting. But that's it. How about if we do start with 9:43, 9:44 with the Mariners going up against the Blue Jays? We know that Trey Yesevich is going to be getting the start for the Blue Jays, and it's believed to be Luis Castillo going for the Mariners, but that's still a little bit TBD. But that said, if we do get Castillo versus Yesevich, I set it to where I'd be willing to lay up to a -143 on the money line with the Blue Jays, plus 145 or better looking at the Mariners, and then 7.5 or less in on the over and 8 or higher to the under. Yesevich has just been absolutely remarkable in his small sample size. I recognize that it's only been 4 starts between the regular season and the postseason, but between a 2.32 to a 2.33 ERA, his strikeout stuff was very good at the minor league level. He was getting over 13 strikeouts per 9 innings. That has translated right away with 12.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. Was very, very dominant in that start they had against the New York Yankees. Going against a guy in Luis Castillo that it's going to be interesting to see how he responds after he had a pitch in game number 5 against the Detroit Tigers. Now, he only threw 11 pitches, so it's not like he was overly taxed, but still, these pitchers are creatures of habit. For the season for Castillo between the regular season and the postseason, a 3.42 ERA, but that shoots up to a 4.71 on the road. Gives up about 1.2 home runs per 9 innings on the road. Swing and miss stuff has been way down. Only about 8 strikeouts per 9 innings this season. That is a career low for him, and now he has to face off against a Blue Jays lineup that you take a look ever since the All-Star break, regular season and postseason, post-All-Star break, and they're averaging 5.6 runs per game. That leads all baseball. Do think that they might be cooled down a little bit, but still, George Springer has, between the regular season and the postseason, give you 32 bombs with over a 380 on base. Vlad Guerrero Jr., 3+ home runs here in the postseason. His power was a little bit down during the regular season, but he's been rock solid here in the playoffs. Dalton Varsho gives you a home run every about 12 at-bats. They've got Anthony Santander back, who I recognize that he's not having the best year, but you got guys like Alejandro Kirk and company doing a nice job of moving the line. And for the Seattle Mariners, you still have Eugenio Suarez between the regular season and the postseason, give you 50 home runs, but he's an all-or-nothing hitter. The entirety of the lineup, though, for Seattle does a relatively solid job of finding a way on base. Like Julio Rodriguez during the regular season hit darn near 270 with 32 home runs. Dan Canzone has been about a 300 during the season. Victor Robles is not a home run guy, but he and J.P. Crawford are able to find a way on. Obviously, big dumper Cal Raleigh, 61 home runs entering into the series with over a 350 on base. And for the Mariners, this is a very rock-solid bullpen, even though I am not necessarily keen on Luis Castillo. You've got the likes of Gabe Spire, Matt Brash, Andres Munoz, Edward Pizzardo, who've been able to give you a sub-3 ERA with the way that they proceed in game number 1. A lot of these guys should be good to go here in game number 2. And for the Blue Jays, they've had a lot of guys be up and down. They're in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA post-All-Star break, but it does feel like these guys are starting to find their swagger once again. Sir Anthony Dominguez has been able to give you a sub-350 ERA this season. Brandon Little, Braden Fisher, Uriel Rodriguez have been able to give you that sub-350 ERA as well. Tommy Nance has had a little bit of struggle here in the postseason, but during the regular season was posting up darn near a 2 ERA. I actually do think that we see a little bit of a lower scoring game. I have some faith in Yesevich, the Mariners bullpen, a little bit more bolstered, so -143 or better looking at the Jays, plus 145 or better the Mariners, and then a 7.5 or less in on the over and 8 or higher to the under. Then we go 945, 946 on the card. The Dodgers on the road against the Brewers. Brewers have yet to announce a starter. The Dodgers have yet to announce a starter, but with the Dodgers, they do find themselves between -144 to a -157, plus 128 to a plus 132. That number on the Brewers, 7.5 is the total. The over is -115 to a -120. The under is between even and -105. I'm seeing a plus 135 out there as well, and if you're looking to lay the run line right now with the LA Dodgers, you're only getting about a plus 110. Right now, to get a run and a half with the Brewers, you'd be getting that at a -130, and as of right now, that's where I'd be looking. I do think that at the end of the day, for the Brewers, you should be able to get north of a plus 135, and that would put me on the money line if I had to bet this right now, and right at this very, very, very second, though, I will be looking at that run line of the Milwaukee Brewers, mainly because you're either going to get Quinn Priester or Jose Quintana. I put Priester at a plus 136. Quintana is probably 10 cents worse than that. I just have not been a fan of Jose Quintana, though. Quinn Priester, 3.32 ERA during the regular season, 4.06 fielding independent. He's been giving you an ERA that's darn near a point higher when he's at home rather than when he's on the road. Not necessarily a strikeout guy with only about 7.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. And Jose Quintana really is not too much of a strikeout guy himself. 3.96 ERA with a 4.81 fielding independent during the regular season. Looked rock solid in his one appearance against the Cubs where he was able to hurl 3 scoreless innings, but he's given up 3.5 walks per 9 innings. He's going to be no match for the LA Dodgers, a Dodgers lineup that has been in the top 5 of the big leagues in terms of run creation, with Max Muncy in there, by the way. Just such a big difference, because when Max Muncy is in the lineup, it creates about a run and a half more for the LA Dodgers. That is very massive, as he's giving you over a 360 on base. Mookie Betts here in the postseason has been rock solid as well. Betts, between the 6 games that he's played, he has to give you a home run, but over a 400 on base. Shohei Ohtani has 2 home runs in the postseason. Though he did struggle in the previous series, he'll be able to bounce back. Teoscar Hernandez has to give you 3 bombs here in the postseason. Overall for the season, less than a 300 on base, but nice home run hitter. Tommy Edman has 2 home runs here in the postseason as well. So 1 through 9, with Will Smith getting back in the fold for the Dodgers. They're certainly getting jiggy with it, and for the Dodgers, this is a much improved bullpen. Now you've got Emmett Sheehan. Probably going to utilize Tyler Glass now for a start here later on in the series, but he's come out of the bullpen. Roki Sasaki has been rock solid. The actual traditional relievers like Blake Trinan, Tanner Scott, these guys have been big giant letdowns, but I do like what I've seen out of Alex Vesia, sub-3 ERA, and the Brewers, you do have to think that they're going to be mixing and matching quite a bit as well. They were able to get the off day on Sunday, and you've got the likes of Trevor McGill, Nick Mears, Abner Uribe, Aaron Ashby, who have been able to give you a sub-350 ERA during the entirety of the season, though Ashby has been a little bit shaky here in the postseason. And for the Brewers, if you look ever since the All-Star break, regular season and playoffs, this is a lineup that's averaging about 5.1 runs per game. William Contreras, a pair of bombs here in the postseason, but he, Christian Yelich, Bryce Terang, Andrew Vaughn in a Brewers uniform and a Brewers uniform only, Isaac Collins, all these guys have been able to give you above a 340 on base. Al Frelick has been rock solid as well. So it is a very interesting circumstance. If it is indeed Blake Snell going for the Dodgers, they should be a nice size favorite. I would be very surprised if it's not Blake Snell going for the Dodgers. I know that Dave Roberts didn't confirm it, but Blake Snell is this team's best pitcher. If it were to be Yoshinobu Yamamoto, it would not be too much of a downgrade there. I don't see why they would utilize him. And Shohei Ohtani would probably be like a 10-cent downgrade as well. So, there's that aspect of things. But Blake Snell has given up 3 earned runs or fewer in all but one of his appearances thus far this season. In his last 5 starts, he has won 32 innings, giving up 3 runs. He is getting about 10.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. Still about 3.5 walks per 9 innings overall for the season. That's still been a little bit shaky, but he has been able to hone in on that a little bit, not really giving up any sort of the deep ball whatsoever as well. He has given up 3 home runs in over 70 innings between the regular season and the postseason, so he's done a good job there. I do like this total over, though, because, again, I do think whether it's Priester or Jose Quintana, these guys get it pretty hard, and the Brewers, they don't necessarily need a bunch of home runs to be able to move the line, so I do like the over. And if it is indeed Jose Quintana, I might be looking at the Dodgers a little bit more at a minus 145 on the money line. I'm thinking it's going to be Priester, though, and that would be putting me on the Brewers at a plus 135 or better on the money line. Or if, like I'm saying, with regards to this run line, right now seeing that at a minus 130, I would take a run half with the Milwaukee Brewers. So lots of moving parts there, but that'll wrap things up for the Monday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Big thanks to William Boor of Action Network for joining me in the last segment. If you do like hearing from this fine podcast, the Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of 2 ways we offer those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, letters EM, they mean does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. The other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review, and I'm with you guys every single day on this podcast, so we've got postseason games, so that means I'll be back with you guys once again tomorrow. Thank you.
If low energy, weight gain, or a drop in sex drive are holding you back, testosterone replacement therapy from Henry Meds may help you reclaim your edge. Their TRT treatments are backed by trusted providers who understand men's health. It's 100% online and discreet and includes free labs for a flat monthly fee. Start your journey towards strength and performance. Visit henrymeds.com/TRT to learn more and get $50 off today. Not all patients are eligible. Results may vary. Consult a healthcare provider to determine if treatment is right for you.